right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right. Hope y'all good looking sex people are doing well out in Happy Land tonight. This is your Grand Wizard of the Esoteric Order of Dagon, Frank Monday, coming at you straight out the Central Kingdom of the Celestial Dragon, Twilight Zone OP King. Welcome back, Wayfarer, Wanderer, and Wild Cadillac, wherever you are, whoever you are, and whenever you may be receiving this transmission. As we wander into the abodes of the night. Y'all good looking sexy people doing all right out in Happy Land. Make sure you hit the like buttons. Keep old YouTube's algobots barking like Pavlov's dog. Check me out on www.buymeacoffee.com/Frank Monday. Let's get into it. I wanted to revisit something that I did a while ago. Let me see here. Hold on. Give me just a second, y'all. Let me know where you hailing in from. Y'all good looking sexy people. Which part of the world is this transmission reaching you in? Have you ever been to China? Maybe you should come to China sometime and see me. Say hello. That would be cool. Friday night. Saturday morning here in China. Actually afternoon. Damn, I got up late today. I usually sleep in on Saturday. I don't know about y'all, but after working a long work week, I like to sleep in on the weekend. Get rid of that music if I can. She gets kind of annoying, huh? Kind of fun to start the channel with, but grows old pretty fast. Yeah. So we can get right into it, guys. I got a video I want to show you. It's from a while back. I think like it says I made it like 10 years ago, but it says 6 on the YouTubes. I'm not sure if it's going to play or not. That's why I got to do a sound check in the background. Yeah, why doesn't the sound work? Weird. I wonder why the sound doesn't play through StreamYard. Does anybody know why that works that way, man? What am I doing wrong? I do present, right? And then I add it to the stage. And then play it, and then just no sound comes out. Does it block the sound somehow? Present? Maybe if I change the audio source. Let's see, audio. Boop, boop, boop. We meet audio device, internal micro. Does that help? Let's see if that works. Is that going to work? No, it still doesn't work, man. What's up with that? Why's it got to block my sound like that, man? Why can't I play sound? I've seen other people play sound on their StreamYard. That's some frustrating horse shit right there. The fuck? Let me try to reset this again. Nerve-wracking shit, man. Automatically adjust mic volume. Stereo audio. Must be off to use stereo audio. Echo cancellation must be off to use stereo audio. Maybe that'll... Fuck, man. Why? Why? All right, it looks like I have to have the echo cancellation turned on, and otherwise it won't play at all. Audio, reduce mic background noise, studio, automatically adjust mic volume. We'll try that. And then, oh, no, no, no. When I turn off echo cancellation, it just, let me see if it'll play it this way. Give me a second, guys. All right, I can't figure it out, man. It's very, very disappointing. It should play audio. Usually, when I have heard this problem, it's because I have the volume on the YouTube screen turned down. Okay, let me check that. No, that looks like it's activated. I don't see it. Let me see. Yeah, usually there's a tab that says silence audio or whatever, but I don't see that checked. All right, well, anyway, I don't guess it's gonna fucking work. Barefoot, it should play. Good to see you, man. Howdy, Frankie says. How you doing out in Happy Land? Hope everything's going all right for you. Hey, maybe if I present it. No, doesn't look like there's any way to get it done correctly, man. Let me see if it's got some. Okay, let me add to stage. And then let me see if there's any strange settings I can figure out. Remove from strange. Full screen layout. None of that seems to make any sense. Camera. I wonder if I can switch the camera. Mirror my camera. Touch up my appearance. No, there's no setting there. Guests, layout, hotkeys, recording, virtual background, audio, and general. General. Resolution. Shift videos from comments or banners. Audio avatars. Automatically add share screens and videos to stream. Don't think that's going to help. When you share a video, we'll automatically add it to the stream. Disable this if you want to queue up a shared screen or video without showing it right away. This doesn't affect. No, that's not going to fucking do anything, man. I would think if I shifted to internal microphone, it might work. When you share the entire desktop laptop, you are changing tabs and only sharing the YouTube screen. Frank, I think I know what it is. Okay, remove it then. Present. Let me see if it will stop screen. Let me see if it will give me the option to share that video though. See, it doesn't even give it as an option. Select a window or screen. I got StreamYard Studio, Notes, and entire screen. I don't know why it doesn't offer it as a screen to share. Mute website notifications while sharing. Don't want that either. Your browser has blocked your screen. Click the screen icon in the address bar to allow access, then reload. Click the screen icon in your address bar to allow access, then reload the page. My address bar screen icon. Open picture in picture. The fuck, man, I don't know. I can't figure it out. It used to work. I was able to do it in the past, no problem. I would just do it the way I'm doing it now. I would hit present. I would hit share screen, select window or screen, just go down and hit entire screen. And only share screen with sites you trust. Sharing can allow deceptive sites to learn more. Mute website entire screen visible. All visible windows on your screen will be shared, right? That's what it says. And then I just allow it. You're sharing your entire screen. And then just go over to the video and then reverse it. There's nothing special. It should be showing it right now. Let me see. Hey, it's not showing it at all right now. Oh, I forgot to add it. That's my stupid move right there. Should be a tab right above that allowing you to switch to individual pages. Should be a tab right above allowing you to switch to individual pages. Share screen, select window or screen. Right, there should be. Where is it though? I don't. Will that do it? No. Select window or screen. Yeah, I don't see it. Where's the tab? This tab should do it. But it just lets me do entire screen. All right, I'm gonna give it a last try. Will this work? My audio loop's a little behind, so I'll check. Nope, I heard it click right there at the front. I heard it click right at the front. Stop sharing. You are sharing your entire screen. I can move this around. Doesn't do shit. All right, fuck it. It's really starting to piss me off. Should be a tab right above allowing you to switch to individual pages. There should be, but it doesn't seem to work, man. I just clicked new layout. I better cancel that shit because it's going fucking bananas. Anyway, kind of a bummer. What's happening with you tonight, Barefoot? You ready to go at it with me? Talk some shit. Settings. I wonder if settings does anything. Recording. Mirror my camera. Local recording. Don't want that. Oh, it's back to the internal microphone. Sorry about that. Let's see if I can get it back on the Razer mic. All right, now I got it on internal mic. Kind of a bummer. I had a couple things I wanted to share with you guys. Um, I'm not gonna worry about it though. I just don't seem to have it figured out correctly. Maybe I'll get into it later and do some research and figure out why I can't share nothing with audio. Because it's a little bit disappointing. I mean, you can't use the whole experience of the platform. Maybe it's because I'm working on the free model powered by StreamYard. They don't allow me to play with the big boys until I start paying them. But it used to work. That's what baffles me. I used to just be able to hit present and then share screen, and it would show me other StreamYard Studio. It would show me other ones that I had available. But now it doesn't do it. Now it doesn't do it. And if I hit not now, it says I'm actually blocking my share, which I'm not trying to do. It says your browser has blocked it. That's all right. And did I accidentally click mute somewhere on A? Did I? Autoplay, block audio, allow audio and video. There it is. There it is there. I think you were right, Barefoot. Let's try it one more time. I think you were right, amigo. Hermano, if so, huge shout out to Barefoot Sasquatch for figuring it out, man. I think you were correctamente. Let me see if this is gonna work this time. And I'll try to get my loop caught up. Let's see. Ah, shit, I forget to hit present again. No, I did. Okay, I hit present. Let me see if it's working now. Still nothing. Still nothing. Don't get it, man. It's playing on my laptop, but there's no sound. There's no sound on StreamYard. Edit name, stop screen. What an absolute crock of shit, man. Let me see this. Use camera, use the microphone, sort of share the screen allowed temporarily. Why does it have the option here? Permission. But over here, there's nothing. Okay, there. Allow audio and video. Yeah, I got that. Block audio, block video. I got it on allow. Permissions for YouTube. Don't get it. These parties can use cross-site cookies and data. Mute it there. Unmute it. Mute it here. Unmute it. Fucking joke, man. Really wanted to share that video with you guys, man. It's just it isn't working out for me. Everybody, welcome to the stage. Barefoot Sasquatch. What's happening, man?
How's it going, Frank?
Doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. You know, this is killing me now, this little issue you're having.
It's killing me too.
I bet. I went down these roads. I've had this problem, like when I try to play something from Media Player, for example, I just can't figure out how to get my volume to work through StreamYard. But when this happens, by looking at your screen, to me, it looks like I don't know what you're seeing when you hit share or present, and then it brings up a box, right?
Yeah.
So let me see. Do you mind if I show you mine?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Present. Yeah, so there is a tab that says I can select windows, but there's nothing in it. It's blanked out, and it's like, oh, what's the word? It's not active and colorized like the rest of them, and it doesn't present any of my windows or tabs as options.
Let's see what's going on here. The site will be able to see contents of your screen. I know that.
Yeah, anyway, the reason I'm thinking maybe is because I'm on the free version of StreamYard, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, that could be. I'm not sure, though.
Are you on free StreamYard or are you on a paid account?
On a paid.
Yeah, because you'll definitely have access to more tools than I will.
So when you hit present, it should bring up a box here in the middle, right? And on mine, at least, so I'm using Microsoft Edge. So it has a tab for Microsoft Edge, then a tab for window, and then a tab for entire screen. But when I'm on Microsoft Edge, and I can choose like your show to share, or my channel dashboard, or a video that I had up. So I have to click on the individual one as opposed to the entire screen, because I think that when you share the entire screen, it does not play any kind of audio. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. Is there any reason why that is?
I don't know. I have no idea. I think it kind of could be a security issue, I think.
All right. Well, it used to work. It used to be real easy. Like I would hit present and then share screen, and I could it says select window or screen. And,
right.
Select window or screen now, it's checked, but underneath it only has StreamYard Studio, some note tab that I have open, or entire screen. Like there's none of my other tabs are available. So
that's wild.
Yeah. And it didn't used to be that way. And so I'm thinking maybe they changed something in the way they let free users use StreamYard.
It could be because they jacked us like a month ago. And
really, what happened?
Yeah, I was paying, like, I don't have like the fancy version. I just have the one step up, and I was paying $29, and now I'm paying $49. They just plain and simply raised all the prices significantly, And
Oh, wow.
I think a lot, yeah, and I think a lot changed because used to be when you had the free version, you could still record, for example, like as if
Right.
you were in Zoom or something. Well, now you can't do that
Yeah. Yeah. I
because I
noticed there was
wasn't
some
using
changes.
mine. I wasn't using mine to go live, so I thought, well, I'm going to pause it because I'm not going to pay $50 a month if I'm not going live. And but then I went to make a recording and it wouldn't let me. So then, of course, I had to reinstate my account. But yeah, I think they've probably changed it on you.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds like a lot of money. $50. I thought it was
It
like
is.
10 or something. Or,
Oh
and then it
no,
went,
that's the old days, man.
yeah. Then it went up to like 20. And then you
Yep.
said 29. And now it's
Yep.
49.
Yeah, $49.
Wow. They're really milking it.
Yeah, $20 a month. You know, I've tried like OBS and different things like that though, and I do prefer StreamYard. So, and that way it's worth it because it's just more streamlined. You know, in OBS you have to choose widgets and all these different kind of things, and you know, and that's more trouble than I want to go through.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I agree with that. Like when I first started doing it maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I did try to use the OBS system and it worked okay. I think it was one of the only options back then.
Yeah, and
Maybe I'm wrong.
I have a friend that streams live and has a kind of a character used through anime, and then a voice changer that's I can't remember what that's called, but it's a separate program. And he found OBS because it's like a Martian and then a voice for the Martian, and you know it's shoving a lot in there. And he found OBS to be a lot more useful for higher sort of tech things like that. But I find it more confusing. When you know how StreamYard is, you can just upload stuff and push a button and it's on.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'm thinking about it. I'm looking into it, but I don't stream enough that I think it would be worth, what did you say, $50 a month?
Yep, $49.98.
Damn, that's big coin.
Yeah, I only
mean,
do it because I like to make videos, and that's the only reason I'm doing it right now because I don't live stream. So, you know, but I want to do the recording, and I find that to be the best way to do it.
okay, yeah, I haven't done a lot of recordings. Usually I use like the onboard. I'm just working on an Apple Mac and not a super savvy at all of this streaming type stuff, but I'll just use the basic Apple Movie Maker and then upload them to YouTube when I do make videos.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've used Clipchamp to do some. I think what you're doing. I'm not on Apple though, so it's So yeah, I mean, I've done that, but the nice thing about StreamYard is if you want to add commentary or something like that, and with this new sort of way they're doing things the last month, the recordings have changed where you can pause it while you're recording, which you didn't used to be able to do. You had to get it right the first time or start over. Now they let you pause it, you know, and edit it. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think I remember that. I tried to use it the first few times I was on here, and it seemed like it was a little bit, it was difficult if you can't pause, but now you can pause. Okay, that's good. Good to know. And you said that maybe the free accounts can't even use the recording.
Oh, for sure can't. That's why I ended up, you know, because when they sent out the notices telling us that they were jacking the price, I'm not live streaming, and so I'm not paying $50 a month. And so I paused it, and then I went to make a recording a couple weeks later, and it told me that you can't do that anymore on the free service or the basic service or whatever they call it. You know, and I was like, what the hell? You know, so I just reinstated my service, and I'll just pause it again, you know, when I think I'm done, you know, with my little spurt of making stuff.
Gotcha. I wonder why the increases. Maybe they're not making enough money, or it's so becoming more and more popular, so they feel like they can charge more.
You know, I think that's it, because I think increasingly people are streaming. You know, everybody wants to be everybody wants to go viral. Everybody wants to be a streamer. And, you know, a lot of people are using StreamYard. I know most of the people I know on YouTube, they're using StreamYard.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. And I didn't know about the panel verse until about 3 months ago. I think I jumped around on a few of them. Jack Talcott, Natsiketa, Pimp Unslaved, Flow State. Now, most recently, I was checking out Mel Pandora, her panel chat. So yeah, that seems to be a more popular format, and it's engaging too.
It definitely is. It brings a lot of drama to whatever you're doing. But it definitely is. It's really neat. The open panels. I was the same as you, except it was a couple years ago, and the pandemic and whatnot. I've watched YouTube for years, of course. I watched documentaries and different things like that, or music, and I never paid attention to live anything. And then I started clicking on it and I was like, wow, like I didn't know this went on. And and then like ended up streaming, like being asked to be a co-host on a true crime channel, and like and then you get all like wrapped up in it, and now I'm retired.
Wow,
But
and you said that was a couple of years ago, so it's been going on for quite a while. I thought it was maybe a fairly new phenomenon. That's why I didn't know about it.
No, when I first sort of wandered on the scene, the concept of open panels or dropping like your link in your chat or something like that, that was unusual. People didn't do that very often. The channel I was participating in definitely did, but most channels don't, because they were overly paranoid about like porn bombing and stuff like that, which is always a risk. So, I mean, you're not seasoned until you've been porn bombed, apparently. So, but it doesn't happen that often in reality. So, and the engagement you get with having people on your screen or on your panel.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot more fun than just streaming on your own, unless you're dissertating on a particular idea or something. But otherwise, you're just talking to an empty room. That's not as much fun. But the porn bomb, get back to that for a minute. I have had a guy come on here a couple of times, maybe 3 or 4 times, and I popped him on the channel, just to chat or whatever, and didn't know. And then he wasn't porn bombing me with video, but he was porn bombing me with like porn audio. So what's the story with that?
With porn audio?
Is that the same type
one
of thing, or?
Yeah, I mean, I've not experienced that one. I mean, I've experienced like live flashing kind of stuff. You probably don't want me to describe, but
No, yeah.
But and I've seen people show, like they'll hold like they'll have like a porn channel or something on their phone, and they'll hold it up to their camera, and then of course pictures. So all those scenarios, those kind of things, like YouTube doesn't allow. On the audio, probably you wouldn't get in trouble for it, because YouTube, like, you can get not porn clips, but I mean like sex sounds and things like that, like audio clips on YouTube. So I don't think the algorithm would catch that. But if you get like literally like where somebody's showing their junk or something like that, then I mean, a lot of channels, they'll instantly quit their show and restart a new one. I personally don't do that. It's just that when the show's over, you do have to make it private. Best to delete it, but making it private, is sufficient, and it just can't be public for obvious reasons. And so yeah, like it's there are people that wander around and they look for live streams and they just do that. But there is a way around that, though, and that's on StreamYard you have the option up there to put an overlay. And so you just add a picture for your overlay, and then like when I showed up backstage, then you throw up your overlay and you bring me up until you feel comfortable, and so I'm behind that overlay. And so if I'm going to show my junk, then it's not going to show to your audience, therefore it doesn't affect your show as far as long term, or keeping it live, or keeping it live, or keeping it public after it's done. So
gotcha.
Overlays are a good way around strangers that that you aren't sure what they're going to do.
All right, yeah, because I've seen people when I come on their panels, they'll do something like that. They'll show, it says customize your overlay. The free plan comes with 4 example overlays. If you'd like to use your own custom, you have to upgrade. See what you get by upgrading. And then if I click on their overlays, let me see what it looks like. Yeah, it does that live with StreamYard. Is that now? I don't know. Would I don't get it. That's not blocking the whole screen though?
No. Is that's let me look here.
Yeah, but I
So
I've seen
that's
people
on
do it,
your,
and it does block the whole screen. I guess so. If you use a custom one, it would work.
yeah, and
On
it
my
says
brand tab,
his four examples. Are they all just banners like that?
it says that, but there's it says there are four, but there's actually only one. So that's weird. Add overlay. Maybe if I click on add overlays, see, free plan comes with 4 example overlays. If you'd like to use your own custom, check out our upgrade. And then it says upgrade, but it doesn't give me an option for other overlays. It just has one available.
Oh wow, and that's not the overlay you're looking for.
No. And then yeah. Anyway, no big deal. Hey, free gift from God's in the house. What's happening, man? Who's the pervert talking about showing his junk? Yeah, no, I was on Flow State the other day, and a guy named Little Dicky or something actually did like flash him, and I didn't even catch it. Like I wasn't looking at the screen when it happened, so I felt cheated. But yeah, he ended the file later. Are you familiar with Flow State at all? Have you been on
No, yeah,
his channel?
no.
Okay. Are there any ones I should look out for or fun from back?
You know, not really. It's just all on what you want to listen to or participate in. I don't know if it's my video or yours, Frank. I can't hear you. Can you hear me now? Oh, Frank hit the wall. He'll be back. Free gift from God. Can you hear me?
All right. Can you
There
hear
he
me?
is.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm back. Yeah, I have a lot of connection problems from
You hit the
being where
bamboo.
I am.
What'd you call it? The bamboo wall or something like that?
Yeah, the bamboo firewall. But usually I can reconnect pretty quickly afterwards.
I mean, you know, open panels are definitely cool. You get more interaction. I was telling a friend of mine about your show last night, and the you know, and I told her you it's hard to do what you do to keep it going, you know, and share like all this stuff in your head, and you know, see, man, like you handle it like a fucking genius, like, you know, on your own. So, but open panel is cool too, though. It's a lot of fun. And I think the majority of viewers want to see that kind of interaction.
They do. I've noticed that like ones that are too, what's the word? Like too single purposed. Like I like to focus on, you know, my gig probably already, like magic and hermetic science and paranormal encounters and stuff like that. But when you're too narrowly focused, like you can't reach a broader audience. And
Right.
I've watched some of the ones that I've watched, like Talcott and some of the other guys or whatever. They're very many of them are very single streamed, and they don't reach a broader audience very often. But like Flow State, he does so much like pop culture stuff and like what's going on in the news, and that appeals to the masses, and he has a much broader audience. But
Right.
I'm not going to go down that path because that's not my gig, and I don't really get it anyway. Like I seldom pay attention to what's going on with the celebrities and the politicians, and
Yeah.
I definitely have opinions on those things, but I don't really fucking know. And I only stream typically on Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday, because I work a full-time job. But thank you for that comment. I really appreciate you saying that about the solo experience. It's fun, and I've always enjoyed it. I've been doing the solo live stream type format for about 2 years. And again, the panel verse I just found out about. But I've jumped on a few people's panels, and I have had fun, and it is fun to chat with people. It's, again, for me, it's kind of like my social outlet because I've been in China so long, and Monday through Friday, it's pretty much 90% Chinese for me. And then when I'm listening to audiobooks throughout the week and stuff, but it's like when I get to the weekend, it's like, damn, I just want to speak English with someone.
Right. And you know, like going on those other panels like you're talking about, that's how you bring the viewers to yourself. You know, it's really difficult if you just hop on and start a channel, and you know, it's going to those other open panels, and you know, people will take an interest in something you're talking about. You know, all kinds of different things. And, you know, and hopefully that person over there or the other panel will allow you to share your link or something in chat, you know, and then people start seeing you come on live, and then they, you know, and they start showing up.
Right. Yeah.
It's great
that's the way to
PR.
do it. Yeah, definitely.
And you get to meet lots of interesting people that way too.
Yeah, and that's the key point. That's why I'm in it, for the fellowship. I tried to load up your channel. It seems like I subbed it. Does it show? I would think that it would show that I subbed you, because my channel is public, and I have that I can, like, my subscriptions are open for people to see. So I would imagine that it would show it, but I'm not sure. Oh, right now I can't do it. Okay. Yeah. That's the other thing too. Like my VPN is such that if I'm looking at YouTube, I have to have my VPN on, and I will be able to view things no problem. But then as soon as I reverse the stream and start uploading or streaming something, they immediately start maybe taking an interest in me. But for some reason, StreamYard will connect without a VPN, which is good.
Yeah, and I find that when I have my VPN on, I have issues with StreamYard. So I usually don't use it when I stream. Like I'm talking about streaming live, because
Right.
you know, it give me all kinds of like the audio issues where you helicopter, and you know, just various issues. And I just got down to it has to be my VPN, and sure enough, after I turned it off, like so now I just don't use it if I go to live.
Right. Yeah, that seems the best way to go with it. What about you, man? So I forget, you're closer to the East Coast, I believe you said.
Ohio.
Ohio, right.
Right.
That's the Japanese word for hello, right? Ohio gozaimasu.
I don't know, but now I do.
Yeah, Ohio, that's what they say for like hello. I think it's typically in the morning. So
No, I didn't know that.
Are you originally from there, or were you saying that you actually were born and raised in Long Beach, or that was someone else?
Oh yeah, no, I'm not from the West Coast. The my family is from Tennessee. Like your mom. You said your mom's
Okay.
from Tennessee, or your mom's side.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. But I was raised here in Ohio, in Cincinnati area.
All right. So that's not terribly far from the Tennessee Valley, I would imagine. What, like 4 hours maybe drive?
Yeah, it's 4.5 hours to go to Knoxville.
To get to Knoxville. Okay.
Yeah,
that's
a little bit longer if you're going to Nashville.
Yeah, that's a pretty good drive then. Yeah. So my mom's family, they were originally from like that area, closer to the Appalachians,
Mhm.
but her mother moved to West Tennessee, and that's where she was for a long time. The Shiloh area. I don't know if you know much about West Tennessee.
Not much. Was it Murfreesboro? Is that Western
Yeah,
Tennessee?
that's south of Nashville. And then if you continue south and head a little more west, like from Nashville to Memphis, I think that's about a 3 hour drive, 2.5, 3 hours. And then like that whole area in between Memphis and Nashville, I would imagine Nashville and West Murfreesboro is also considered West Tennessee.
Gotcha.
But yeah, all of that area is very sparsely populated. We're talking like little rural towns of like 200, 300 people. And then the bigger cities would be like maybe 20,000, 30,000 people. And of course, Memphis, I think, is probably the largest. That's, I mean, at least 1 million people, I would imagine. And Nashville has blown up in the last couple of decades, right? So tons of people have moved there recently.
I love Tennessee.
Yeah, me too. It's really beautiful. And if you've got land there, like 10, 15 acres or something, very nice to just chill.
Yeah, the Ohio, like, you know, I ended up back here because of my older parents. It's not my favorite place, to tell you the truth. But the Tennessee, I love. That could be a place to retire for sure. Eastern Tennessee, I really, really like. Have a lot of family there in sort of Western North Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah, I like the people. You know, it just seems a little bit slower.
Yeah, it's good folk for sure. I do definitely enjoy it. I still have some friends there, and most of the family has moved on to the other side of the veil. But Yeah, I started visiting there when I was super young. Like I grew up in LA, Los Angeles, but during the summertime, because I was getting into trouble like as a early teen, my mother would punish me by sending me to Tennessee to stay with, yeah,
Right
to
on.
stay to stay with her mother. And like my first summer out there, I was like 11 or something. Well, I'd gone there before that, but like my first summer as a punishment, I was like 11 years old or 12. I can't exactly remember, but the first thing my grandma does is she buys me like a three wheeler and a rifle.
Oh, wow. Nice.
and I, and I'm like, here I am, a city boy, and now I've got like a range rifle, you know, like a lever action range rifle, and a like a three wheeler. It wasn't a four wheeler; it was like a three wheeler, but like a 125 Honda, and I got this to ride around on. It was just crazy. Like I was just going bananas all summer. And the country boys, they were pretty hard on me. Like they trapped me in a storm shelter one time for like 2 days, like locked me in it. Yeah. It was gnarly. I remember the sun going down. And I had to stay the night in there, and then the whole next day I was trapped in there. And like every couple of hours, I'd like bang on the door and yell and scream. And they didn't let me out until like a full day after that. And I was like, "Damn,
Dude, you were
so,
kidnapped.
well, yeah,
Wow.
I had the whole buried in the coffin experience. Um, I recovered from it though, and afterwards, you know, they never stopped giving me shit though. Like they led me on this one like riding the back roads, and we were like racing and stuff on our dirt bikes. Most of them, it seems like they had four wheelers, but three wheelers were really popular at the time, which are super dangerous. It seems like they eventually did away with three wheelers and like banned them entirely. I don't know, maybe they're still out there, but they don't have a good center of gravity. So when you go around corners, they tend to go in the opposite direction of the way you want to go.
Yeah, man. Even with the four wheelers, there's always, well, not always, of course, but there's frequently stories around here about turnovers and injuries and worse, things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, so they took me out riding on these one roads and ended up almost getting me killed. Like I broke my arm and it just like shattered the wrist area on my left arm, and my hand was flopping off to the side. And but they were cool. Like they were cool about it afterwards. Like they took me into town and like got me, you know, medical help. And I had to end up going. I had to drive. My grandmother drove me to Memphis to get treatment for my broken arm, which I think is probably a good thing because otherwise I might have been permanently gimped from it.
Right. It'd be twisted the wrong way or something.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
But
good
yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
that probably made you a pretty cool kid when you went back home, though.
yeah. Well, I showed up in their town, in their small country town, and I was like all into like gangster rap and stuff. So I'm like rapping Easy E and DJ Quick and stuff like that, and they're like, "Ha, we're gonna give this kid a lot of shit." Oh,
Good
good fun
times,
though.
right?
Oh yeah, good
Like
times.
that time you're kidnapped.
But year on year, I had to keep going back, like all through junior high and even into high school. So I ultimately won some of their like loyalty. Like a few guys, like you know, really became diehard friends until
Right,
the end.
right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But it was an easy one. You know, they weren't. They're very I don't know, insular to some extent. It's like they don't want a lot of outsiders hanging around and causing trouble, which is good. I mean, fuck. Who wants a California boy coming up sporting gangster rap and infiltrating their Bible Belt sensibilities, you know?
Right, and probably twice as scary because the only thing they knew about it was what they saw on TV.
Yeah. Yeah. But in an interesting story, too, to connect Californians to Tennessee, there is a certain, what's the swallow, right? A certain bird that its migration pattern is actually from from like Western Tennessee to Southern California. And every year it flies back and forth. And I didn't even learn this until much later on, but I thought, wow, I'm just following like the natural migration of this particular
Right,
bird.
right.
So good fun. And in that area, actually, quite a few Californians have settled. And I like much later on, though, but I started meeting other people that had migrated from Southern California to West Tennessee. And I thought that was just really bizarre. I mean, the synchronicity of it.
Yeah, and I guess a lot of people are leaving California now. The Do you still have family out there? Your parents or anything?
I do have family. I've got an older sister and an older brother, and that's pretty much it. Everyone else has either, like, being the youngest in a pretty large family means that I've pretty much outlived everyone else.
Right.
So, no.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I was
go
curious.
ahead.
I wanted to, if I last night I was thinking when I was listening to your show last night, I was thinking, you grew up in LA, you said you this interest came to you pretty early. So do you think what was it something in particular, like environmentally in LA, or was it just something that was just sort of who you are? I mean, what led you to China, like starting at that young age? I mean,
Yeah, I think there were some pretty clear, like, I don't know, like, what would you call them, like game saves along the adventure. If you imagine Sonic Hedgehog or something, um, early, like I liked to cruise around the neighborhoods in that area, and so there were lots of different, like Little Italy, Chinatown, different neighborhoods. There's, like, a Mexican concave, Hawaiians, Samoans, Vietnamese, all different, like, groups of ethnic groups. Like, any direction I reached out from my neighborhood. So if I went, like, northwest, then I'd wind up in Compton. And if I went southwest, I'd be in Long Beach and among, like, mostly Mexican Americans and Chicanos and stuff. And then if I went a little further north, I could wind up in Chinatown. Like, I could take a bus from my neighborhood into Chinatown. And I remember really, really early on, like, I was exploring all these different cultures and wanting to learn different languages like Spanish. And I think I told my dad I wanted to learn. Anyway, I was talking to my dad about it, and he said, okay, I can see that you're interested in other cultures and stuff like that. So he encouraged me. He said, if you want to learn about another culture, he said, I think the Chinese culture is of value. And so he let me take classes in Chinatown at, like, a Chinese cultural center where they had, like, kung fu and calligraphy and different stuff like that. He'd take me up to Chinatown, and then we're, like, on the weekend on Saturdays. And my brother was into it. My brother did kung fu and stuff like that, and he's 2 years older than me. And so it was kind of like our thing on Saturdays. Like, we'd go to Chinatown, we'd have Chinese food, and we would take, like, a kung fu class, and then have, like, there was a free Chinese class. And I never got very far at that young age. Like, just learn your basic numbers and how to say hello and goodbye. And then when my family in 89 or 90, my dad moved part of his business. He was a ex-Navy guy, but he had an automobile dealership, and he opened up a new automobile dealership in San Diego, and started, over time, because everything was going bad in LA. There was a huge phenomenon called white flight. I don't know if you're familiar with that era or not, but like the mid 80s to early 90s. Are you familiar with that? Have you heard of it?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So during the white flight era, everyone was kind of that had established themselves after World War II in the inner city and kind of built the city. I mean, they built up LA. Those Navy guys, they were all kind of getting the hell out of there because it was becoming increasingly more and more dangerous to live there, with drive-by shootings and crack cocaine, and the Crips and the Bloods were warring all of the time.
Right.
And so, yeah. So in San Diego, there was, like, a totally different scene. And where we moved, there was a martial arts institute, like, literally down the hill from our house. And we're thinking at that point, we went from, like, lower middle class to upper middle class. And yeah, my mom was manager at a bookstore, and I had access to, like, all of these occult and esoteric books. And I was going to kung fu, like, pretty much every day, and continuing to try to learn Chinese. And all of the guys at the school, our Shifu, the guy who ran the school, grew up in Taiwan. And so he had very, like, traditional style of teaching kung fu, and he taught a system of Xingyi, Bagua, and Taiji. So what are known as the three internal arts of Chinese kung fu. And we hung out with those guys and stayed in that school for about 10 years, like nearly a decade. And, like, just from then on, like, even before then, like, probably I would say 13, 14, 15 is when I really developed the desire to want to know Chinese well enough that I could read some of the older texts like the Tao Te Ching and books on magic and stuff like this and philosophy in the native language without the English interpretation or translation. And so yeah, that became my goal. And I wasn't able to achieve it until like after college. Like I went to school, I got a degree in English and literature, and then I went on and worked in like retail management. I lived in Boston for a couple of years, and then I finally got into a program for like postgraduate research at a university here in China in 2001. So I was almost 30 at that point. 28, 29, 30, almost 30, yeah. And then that was it. Once I got here, like I just tried to integrate into the culture, and I wanted to spend increasingly longer periods of time here. Um, and I had my head to the, my nose to the grindstone, so to speak, and I had I had estranged myself from like any associating with any foreigners really. And in fact, like the first 10 years I was here, there weren't very many foreigners here. The program I was in, the entire university, and it's the first or second top university in China. There was only one other American there, and he was like an older dude, like in his 60s. And so yeah, there just wasn't a lot of opportunity. So for about a decade, I didn't even have any involvement with Westerners at all, and I just wanted to refine my Chinese to a level of fluency that I could read and write and talk. And yeah, and then it was after that that I started switching back to um, wanting to interact with people from my homeland again. So yeah, quite an adventure.
Oh, sounds like it. It's just a path you were supposed to take, I guess, from a young age. That's I was, like I said, I was curious about that. If it was environmental or.
And I guess it is. Southern California, if you don't know much about it, it does have a very, very large Chinese community.
Yeah.
We're talking probably close to 2 million, I would think, by now, or maybe a million in New York and a million in Southern California. So there are quite a few Chinese, and they've been there for, as long as anyone else, really. The older families, probably, a couple of hundred years ago during, of course, they say the gold rush and the building of the railroads and stuff like that. But then more recently, there's been like, I don't know, it's estimated between 40 and 60,000 a year have been coming over since like the 90s. And those are all like mainland Chinese folks. Yeah. So it was mostly an interest in like, and it wasn't the Kung Fu angle so much for me. It was more like, I don't know if you know much about Taoism, but Taoism is like a system of Chinese philosophy and natural living. And I apprenticed. I took a year, almost 2 years off during college, and I lived with like the chancellor of Yosan University. His name's Master Ni Huaqing, but his family is, I think, second generation Americans, but they've been over here doing Chinese medicine for a long, long time. And it was like from teenage years until my early 20s, that was like my life's dream to like just meet Master Ni and hang out with him. And I started going to his public talks. Like I would go all over the country. I was going to Atlanta, Georgia, San Francisco, LA. I stayed at a retreat that he offered, like a 7-day retreat to learn Kung Fu and Qigong and medicine, like the basics of Chinese medicine, elemental theory, that kind of thing. And it was during that time that I found out that his current assistant, his like secretary assistant, was quitting and going into school for a doctorate degree in Chinese medicine. And the position became available, and they said, hey, are you interested in it? Would you like to be Master Ni's live-in assistant? And I was like, that was the culminating experience of my entire youth. Yeah. And so I went to live with him, and yeah. I think I talked a little bit about that you should never meet the master. Don't actually.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, don't go live with your heroes.
You figure out they're human too.
Yeah. And worse than that, like being human, they have all of the ordinary irritations of other humans and living in close proximity to them. But it was a good experience, and I would never like say anything, bad about it per se, but just much more mundane than you would imagine.
Huh. So do you teach? Like, if you don't mind me asking, like, do you teach?
I do, yeah. I'm very open about it. When I first got here, of course, I was in the research program, and then right out of that program, I got hired into TV, and I was on 2 different TV shows, like for English language teaching, and then I worked at the top television channel, CCTV. I was there for 2 years, and I worked in their English department, like proofreading scripts and stuff like that. And then I just naturally migrated from that. Like salaries were actually very, very low because those are considered like government jobs. I migrated into the private English teaching sector, and I worked in that for about a decade. And then I migrated into public education, and I went all the way. I did the whole gambit. I've worked at all levels of education. I've worked K through 12 and collegiate and corporate and all different kinds. But most recently, going on almost probably, I guess, about 8 years now, I've been working in private high schools, academies that are bilingual academies. And so I teach 11th and 12th grade AP composition, AP language and composition, and literature and composition, as well as other AP. There's I don't know if you're familiar with the AP capstone program.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So seminar and research, and then language and composition is my core focus.
That sounds very exciting to a guy in Ohio. You know, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, and it is. It's fun. I mean, there's tons of opportunity too. And I don't know if it was something anybody's interested in. If just a bachelor's degree is enough, and then you get like a TEFL certificate, which I think is like a 6-week course, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember. I got my TEFL and TEFL certificates years and years ago, like 20 years ago nearly.
It's like teaching English as a second language or something like that.
Yeah. Teaching English as a foreign language and teaching English as a second language. Either one is fine. It's like, I believe it's 120 hours maybe of coursework. Maybe not that much. Maybe only 60. I forget. But yeah, and there's plenty of opportunity in lots of schools, and we're always hiring and always looking for new people interested in that line of work. What do you do though? Yeah, enough about me.
Well, you got just one more. So you got married. Like, you got married. You had kids. I know you said you have children.
I did. Yeah.
That how do you fit? Like, how are the Chinese people? Like, are you sort of like one of their own right now? You know what I mean? Because you've been there so long and speak the language, all that.
To an extent, yeah. Obviously, any water course way is going to have its amount of resistance, but yeah, I actually, my wife and me met in the States, and she was part of help getting me over here. So she was in Boston getting her MBA at University of Massachusetts, and I was working in a program for Harvard Business School, but it was at Cambridge, and we were dissolving like a bankruptcy of a company, and we met through that program. She came to do some internship, and I was working as like account management and that type of thing, inventory, like liquidating inventory. But after she finished her program, she came back to Beijing, and so I stayed in contact with her. We had been dating. We met in Boston, and we dated for a while, and then I kept in contact with her. And I said, hey, I've always wanted, she knew my background. And I'm like, I want to come to China. I wanted, what's the best way to get over there? And she said, well, if you enroll at university in like some sort of research program or something like that, then it's, that will get you the visa you need. And so she helped me do that. She helped me file my paperwork. And that's what bridged the gap for me to get over here. And then we continued dating, and I guess we ended up dating for like a year, maybe almost a year in Boston, and then close to 2 years once I came here. And then when I graduated from my program and like started to get into a career position, we decided to get married. And she's almost 4 years younger than me. So like she was growing to the age of what the Chinese consider to be a leftover woman. Like once they start approaching 30, they're not married. They're not marriage quality anymore. They're not marryable, if that's a way to express it. And I never felt that way. I mean, we experienced love, and it just seemed like the natural thing to do. And so yeah, we got married and we ended up having a couple of children. My daughter's in her last year of high school, and we got a boy and a girl. I have a little. I mean, they're both high school level now, but yeah, it all goes so fast. With her family though, and like integrating with the local culture. No, you're. I mean, they're in all of China. I think there are only estimated around. There used to be estimated around 100,000 Americans, and 60,000 of those were in the Hong Kong area, and then maybe they said around 20,000 Americans are in the Shanghai area and that like southern area. So, like anywhere around 70% of all Americans in China are in the southern area. So in Beijing, I think according to like the US Embassy, we only had at the height of our involvement here around 20,000 Americans in Beijing. And now I think it's much lower than that after the coup. A lot of people pulled out during coup. So I think our numbers are like around 10,000 Americans. So you don't have as much opportunity to like commiserate with and fellowship with fellow Americans being here. And in neighborhoods like the neighborhood I'm in, I'm probably the only white guy for like, several kilometers. Like if I get out and cruise around, I would be the only one. So yeah, there's definitely resistance when you're in a homogenous society. The one I would say the one redeeming factor that we have is Chinese culture views lighter skin as more elevated. So like their imperial families and stuff, and the people that have fairer skin are seen to be as more elite, more egalitarian, and it's more desirable for them. Like men who want to marry women want them to have paler complexions, and then people who are in the intelligentsia, strive to not tan their skin and use skin whiteners and stuff like that. So being a Caucasian in this area, they tend to view us more in a better light than they would other ethnic background folks, which, it is what it is, right? So, but if I do get approached like by your ordinary individual and they ask, where are you from? I always say Germany, because the older school, and it depends on the person's age as well, but older school folks have a really like strong love affair with the Germans for some reason. And Volkswagen has been in this area manufacturing cars for I think like 3 or 4 decades. And so if you're in a cab or something and a cabbie asks you, hey, where are you from, foreigner? And I say Germany, it always gets a really good response. Like they'll start, saying, oh, the Germans are very good at engineering and very intelligent people, and you must be a very respectable person. Because I noticed that if I used to not do this, like if I just from the outset I said, oh, I'm an American, like they immediately would launch into politics and geopolitics and start criticizing, and start criticizing the U.S. and me directly.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so I just found it's easier to say I'm German, which my heritage is German. It's German, Irish, and Jew, in fact. So as an American, I'm a German Irish Jew.
Man, that's incredible. That's incredible. Like I've not heard much of that before. Just the kind of like the smaller version of the individual like that. That's really fascinating. Dude, you should like. Are you writing something? Like it sounds like you have lots to say, and there has to be a ton of experiences in between.
Oh yeah,
just the 2 years you spent.
Say again.
Just the 2 years you spent as his private secretary. I mean, that in itself is probably pretty interesting.
Yeah. There's a lot of stories from that era, definitely, and like interacting with his sons. They're a pretty big shot family too, in the LA area. Like both of his sons are achieved doctors in Chinese medicine, and they carry on the tradition. They have their own book publishing company. They have their own university. They have their own hospital in Santa Monica, right on Santa Monica Boulevard. They treat the stars. I mean, if you're like, I would go in there all the time, and you're wandering in, you'll see folks like Madonna or Elton John or other big shot Hollywood guys coming in to get, Chinese medicine from Master Ni. Well, he's retired now. This was all, close to 30 years ago now. But yeah, good fun stuff during those times. And you're right. I should make some memoirs. It's just that like I'm been so engaged in my career, even up until now. Like I'm working anywhere from 50 to 60 hours a week at the academy I work at. And my hope, provided that I live long enough, I'm only, early 50s, but I'm hoping that during this next decade of finishing out my career and getting my children through college, that I will have the opportunity to put, some of this tale into some form of written form. But I've taken voluminous amounts of journal work throughout the entire, even from like the very start. I started journaling when I was like 12, 13 years old. And I had gone back recently to the States and picked up my old journals just to secure them and make sure I have them. And I've got like a stack literally like 3 feet high of journals just from like junior high and high school and the whole Master Ni like time frame and with the Kung Fu school and stuff like that. Yeah, so there's definitely enough material there, but yeah, it'll have to be when I'm able to do less at my, my career.
You think since your children are looking at college like sooner than later, right? So are you do your children, do you think, have they visited the United States a lot, or are they good with, with where they're at? I mean, being that their father is American, like, do they have that curiosity where they want to go to the United States?
Yeah. And they go to international bilingual school as well, and which are geared just towards sending kids to the States. So like my daughter's looking at CSU, maybe ASU. We're also possibly thinking Riverside or somewhere in Southern California. It depends, because my wife also does have contacts in the States, and we would like both of our children to attend university in the States. My daughter, however, though, like her academic scores are not very high, so she might have to go she might have to do junior college for a couple of years before she can get into uni. Right. But yeah, my son though, he's at the top of his class and he still has 3 years, so 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. But the original plan was like my wife to possibly take my daughter to the States and for her to do to establish with her, or maybe send her on her own. It's such a different, like they grew up here and we visited the States a lot, like even when they were kids, and then throughout the years, and like visiting my sister in LA, and then like my mom in Tennessee and stuff like that. And then I have another sister who's in Colorado, like the Denver area. And so they've been there and they've seen a lot of it, and they speak English like, fairly well. Like it's not their native language, Chinese is, but they've grown up with me enough, and in school that's always been a part of they've been studying English since kindergarten, so they study it every year. But yeah, like here's my biggest fear of like trying to reintegrate them. The US has changed a lot. Like even me growing up as a kid on the streets of LA, there was gang battles and stuff, so there were drive-by shootings. I experienced that even as a youth. But I grew up, like street savvy, whereas these kids over here, they have zero idea of kind of any, what's the word, like situational awareness. They have zero.
Oh yeah, it's got to be different for sure. Coming here, and I mean, you know how it is here, and doesn't really seem to get better. So, I imagine that would be a fear, or would definitely keep Dad worried, if nothing else.
Because imagine like growing up in a prison planet type scenario where there's literally zero crime. Like if someone did a crime, they're going to prison for life. They're being removed from society. So you've got a society where everyone's just actively doing their 9 to 5 every single day with basically zero deviation. And going from an environment like that, which it's still very chaotic, but it's just people engaging in day-to-day commerce, to a situation where people are actually like trying to engage you and do things that could be underhanded, like, and drug use and stuff like that, like, and sexuality and stuff like that. And like, it's going to be stuff that they just have no way to fathom or comprehend it really. That's what worries me the most though. But I don't know. And I don't live. Looks like we lost Barefoot Sasquatch there. But again, too, like I would just finish my thought as he dipped out. What was I going to say? Oh, you have to have faith somehow that like I grew up an American and I love America and I've always been a patriot. And I have to have faith that there is a new a new golden era emerging. In fact, I told them that neither one of them could go to the States. Did it? Really sorry about that. Yeah, reset. Barefoot, I'd love to have you back. I told them that neither one of them could go if the other party won. I said if the golden pony Mr. T won, I said I would definitely let them go to the States to go to university. But that was just being playful. Yeah, so that was a bit of tongue in cheek humor on my part. I think it's all right though, but I feel like at the same time people who are trying to integrate into the American culture from a perspective of not knowing, like not growing up there, would have a much more challenging time. But a lot of them do it. Like our entire academies, like all of the top academies here, I think there's like 10 just in the area I'm at, high schools, bilingual high schools that send Chinese kids basically and other foreign kids to the US to go to college. They all seem to fare fairly well, fairly well. I think the girls do better than the boys too, for the most part. And I think part of that is because, boys are a lot more active just going out and getting into trouble and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, my first choice for my daughter, because I do have a sister in the area, would be Colorado State University in Fort Collins, because I don't know if you know anything about that area or not, but it's 95% Caucasian and the crime rate is extremely low. And having lived in an exclusively like homogenous society for so long, it seems to be integrate. It seems to be easier to integrate as a solo, like one-off curiosity than among a large group of your peers. And how can I define that better? Like, for example, me coming to China and isolating myself among the Chinese, they accept me as like a lone wolf and someone who can be approached much easier than if I had, say, for example, if I came here and set up with the foreign communities over near the embassy, where there are droves of Americans all hanging out, eating together in the same restaurants and stuff like that. You don't integrate that way. You just stay isolated in your own enclave of like a little America or whatever. So you're not able to assimilate to the local culture. You just represent your culture from abroad. And I would think that the same would be true in reverse, like having grown up in LA until, I was in my 20s. The Chinatown, the folks that integrate and come in by way of Chinatown will just basically stay with the Chinese ideals and culture and work with fellow Chinese. But the ones who branch out and go off on their own, like I knew a Chinese family that lived in the deep South, and the husband and wife they immigrated through New York, and they set up a restaurant actually in Tennessee, and they became American like within a decade. They were adopting American ideals, and they're operating their Chinese restaurant, but all of their children grew up American, and they had 5 children and put them all through college. But they all grew up, they didn't grow up speaking Chinese. The parents discouraged them from doing that. They encouraged them, hey, learn the local culture, integrate with the locals, become an American. And I've done that in reverse to some extent here. I've come over and I've brought with me the best of the American ideals, like the American dream, the ideals of freedom, and the spirit of 1776. And I've instilled that in my children and told them, wonderful stories that America is a great place. And our founding fathers had high ideals of providing independence, freedom, and, equality for all people. And we're the first country to officially have ended slavery. I mean, maybe the UK, but in cooperation with the Magna Carta and other documents that influenced the original US Constitution and the Bill of Rights, that seems to be the highest ideal of humanity that's been achieved on Earth, in the form of a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. I mean, that's the American dream. It's not if it played out correctly or not. It's that they had a grand vision of working towards, we the people of the United States of America, in order to form a more perfect union. That's the preamble to the Constitution, that they established these things based on these high ideals of in God we trust, right? So I've told them, I've introduced them to Christianity, and my sister is, very profusive. My sister back in the States, in the Colorado area, she's very, centered in the church. And I've told them that the best way is you go about it. If you're in a largely predominantly Christian society, then you accept Jesus as your savior, and you work with the community and the people in that community to assimilate and espouse the ideas of, fellowship and, be kindness and helping others. And I was a Boy Scout leader for 10 years, just in order to put my kids through Boy Scouts. And I was offered the opportunity for leadership of the den, to be den leader. So when our den leader, after 5 years of my service in the Boy Scouts and raising up 2 children through the Boy Scouts, of course, my daughter was in Girl Scouts, but my boy was in, Weeblos, Wolves, and that kind of thing. I was offered the leadership position as den leader. So I felt like that was an achievement. Like, honestly, all of my other work paled in comparison to being offered to be Denny of a troop. Like, that really touched me to tell you the God's honest truth. Like, being in TV, I've been on television a bunch. I've been in TV commercials. I've been in a couple small parts in movies. I arrived at the height of my pursuits in Chinese Tao to live with an ascended master, here on Earth. And I've done so many other things, and even getting to China and stuff. But like, having the honor of achieving rank in the Boy Scouts was really, 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 really great. Just an amazing thing. Cause like, I honored like our Denny at the time, Byron, just such a wonderful guy, and like doing stuff with all the kids, and like being there with all the dads and moms too. I mean, there are plenty of moms, but like teaching our kids as scouts to, put on uniform and espouse these virtues of cleanliness and reverence and charity, and always be prepared and do a good turn daily, and all of these things, and really live in it. Like, I felt like we were really living it. Obviously the Boy Scouts only meet once a week, but we would go on 2 field trips per year. We would do a spring camp session and then an autumn camp session, and like learning about the logistics of organizing those things. And then I did treasury and logistics and other types of campaigning. Like, just such a wonderful thing. I mean, I know the Boy Scouts as a whole maybe has some of its individual errors and flaws, but like it's called the Eastern, let me see, it's Eastern Division. I don't even remember now. It's been so long since I've been out of it, like probably close to, I don't know, I guess about 6 years now. But yeah, the Eastern Division, we have like, there's a troop in Japan, there's a troop in Beijing, and I think there's a smaller one in Shanghai, but the one in Beijing, I think, is the biggest one in China. And then the biggest one in Asia is in Hong Kong. Yeah, but that would be one of the culminating experiences of my life as a wayfarer of the Asian area, is being a Denny. But I didn't take it. It was more than I could handle at the time. It was like, the commitment is much larger. Like, you have to take on a lot of the duties of the entire den. And, but I really, really considered it long and hard. And I wanted to rise to the challenge, but my job, my career, like, takes way too many hours. Like, at that time, I was really deep in my career, and I was probably working upwards of 60 hours a week, like 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, plus, cracking the books on weekend in order to prepare for classes and do lots of, because at that time I was supervisor of foreign teacher supervisor. And there's a lot more work involved, because you're coordinating with HR and doing interviews and tracking teachers' behavior and stuff like that. So a lot more involved. But yeah, I'm hoping that over the next couple of years, I'll be able to withdraw the amount that I'm involved with my career and get both my kids into college. And then, yeah, everyone's dream is to ultimately one day be able to retire and write their memoirs. But I think Barefoot, I think that somehow you're onto something. And with the tools of like Chat GPT and all of these other tools for writers, I might be able to get a lot more done than I'm aware of, because I've been looking into it recently, and I've already worked on a couple of novels and tons of short stories. But looking into putting together like my actual memoirs and then going through the journals and recounting stories, I think I could probably achieve that a lot easier than I'm aware of right now with the help of AI. Yeah, so that's definitely something to look at. And thanks for jumping in and joining the channel. Barefoot, it was really great to talk to you. I've kind of run out of time as well here. I need to get ready for some other things. But for everyone out there in Happy Land that was listening, I hope you liked the show. Make sure you guys hit the likes and subscribe and all that fun stuff that makes YouTube function correctly. As always, keep doing good magic and ad astra per aspera as we wander into the abodes of the future. I will see you next time. Bye for now, everyone.